And welcome back to Cottage Talk. This is another episode of Russ's Rant. It won't be a long episode. In this episode, I'm going to just share my thoughts on Fabio Carvalho. And as I've been told by a friend in Spain, it's actually pronounced Carvalho, not Carvalho. Again, I'll say it again, Carvalho. That's what I've been told is the proper pronunciation of Fabio. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong, but that's what I was told. So I thought I would give it a shot and call him Fabio Carvalho. Okay. Before we get going in this episode, I just want to just mention to everyone, we're really trying to build up our YouTube channel. If you're watching live, please subscribe on YouTube. Please tell your friends to subscribe on YouTube. We really want to build this up. It's a great way to watch Cottage Talk and also for Fulham fans to find more content on YouTube because that's what I do. So please do check it out on YouTube and just tell your friends. Really would appreciate that. Okay. And now I want to mention that this episode is, as I mentioned on Twitter, this is dedicated to the memory of Paul Parish. And I'll just give you a little bit about this. And I'm still very sad about the passing of Paul Parish. And in case you don't know, and I'm going to tell you now, Paul's daughter, Claire, is a very close friend of mine. And she's been on the show. She's a co-host on the show. Paul actually has been on the show. In fact, driving back from a match on a full-time episode, Paul was on there. And Claire's said if I'm doing an episode, I should make it a little cheesy. The only cheesy thing I could think of, Claire, is the fact that we actually talked to your father while he was driving back from the match, and he gave his 2 cents, and I remember that. And I just wanted to make sure that we talk a little bit about Paul. And again, it's such a terrible thing that happened at Craven Cottage on Saturday. I'm watching the match, and obviously we're learning about a fan who's having a medical emergency. And about 45 minutes later, the fan is taken away in an ambulance. And, again, we don't know at the time what's happened to this supporter of Fulham, and the match goes on. And I'm just going to share with you right now, shortly before I did Cottage Talk full time, I actually heard from Claire and learned that it was actually her father who had a heart attack. And I just felt terrible for Claire. And obviously, we now know that Paul passed away. And my thoughts are with Claire every single day. I feel terrible about what's happened to her entire family, to her daughter, and everyone that's with the Parish family. I'm just thinking of you, and I just want to just dedicate this episode of Cottage Talk in his memory. And because Paul, again, passed on this passion for Fulham to his entire family, to Claire, and to his granddaughter. And if you go on Twitter, you'll see some pictures of Paul and his granddaughter. It's fantastic. And I can't say enough good things about Claire. And Claire is such a very good friend. And, she's always been there for me. And I do want to mention this about Claire, the type of person she is and why it makes it even harder for me. She's just been such a good friend through some very difficult times. And again, this really isn't a difficult time I'm going to explain, but just shows the character of Claire Parish is that when I was dealing with a lot of abuse from the Coventry City supporters, the first person to my defense was Claire Parish, and she went after them. And Claire has proven to me time and time again what a good friend she is, but more importantly, what a wonderful person she is. And my heart breaks for her. And I'm still shaken up about her losing her father. And that's where she began her Fulham journey. And her father, again, just a lifelong Fulham supporter. It's a family. And I wanted to start the show by talking about the Fulham family. And we're not going to forget Paul Parish and what he meant to the Fulham family. So this episode is dedicated to his memory. And I hope that we continue to talk about Paul Parish. And because, again, it's such a sad story, such a sad situation. And my heart goes out to the entire Parish family. And anyone that watched full time will know that I was a little shaken up. And It's because I knew the news that the Fulham supporter was, in fact, Paul Parish. Okay, well, let's move on into the show. And again, this is going to be a quick Russ's rant. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about Fabio Carvalho and also going to talk about Neco Williams and Dennis Adoy as well. But before I do that, I do want to mention this because what's been interesting, I want to say last 48 hours, is that on Twitter, I've had many Liverpool supporters come at me and tell me how important it was for Liverpool to get this player. And I was just asking the simple question, have you watched him play? My only reason for mentioning that was Fabio, I think, is a great talent. And I just want to make sure he goes to a club that's going to utilize him correctly. He has not been utilized. I'm talking about now Ryan Sessegnon well at Tottenham. We've seen what happened with Pat Roberts. Harvey Elliott might work out. So again, maybe that's a positive sign. So my concern was, is Liverpool the right fit for Fabio Carvalho? I still am asking that question because his best position is a number 10, and currently that's not how Liverpool play. Now, could they adapt? Could he adapt? Absolutely. Would he have a fantastic coach in Jurgen Klopp? Yes, absolutely. So there is this good chance that it could work out. That's where my concerns were going, because I want him to go into a situation where he's going to thrive and succeed because he's starting out as a Fulham player. I do the same thing with Ryan Sessegnon. I want to see Ryan Sessegnon succeed at Tottenham, and that's really not happening. And so that's kind of where my head was at when I was going back and forth with these Liverpool supporters. They thought I was sour, that I did not want him to leave. And it's not that, because honestly, I know eventually he was going to leave. I just want him to go to the right situation. If Liverpool is it, so be it. But we shall see. But the deal did not go through. And if you want to hear some great coverage or watch some great coverage from a Liverpool perspective, I want to give a shout out to my friend Steve Hoare, who hosts Redmond TV, the Redmond TV. So please check them out on YouTube. I've watched them, and they're going to give you the Liverpool perspective on Fabio Carvalho. And hopefully they'll also talk a little bit about Neco Williams as well, give you a perspective of how they feel about the loan. There are many great podcasts and YouTube channels that deal with Liverpool. I just will always back my friend Steve. So check out the Redmond TV. Okay. So let's get into this, and let's just talk about Fabio and how will he react now that the deal has not gone through. And I believe he's going to be professional, and he will just do his job. The one thing about this is Marco Silva, the way that Marco Silva is, I think he's only going to play him if he believes that Fabio is in the right place to help Fulham. He made a decision about Anguissa. You know, Anguissa, he ended up not starting Anguissa because he knew Anguissa wanted to leave. Now, in this case, we have a good feeling that Fabio is going to leave. But will he be a professional? If Marco feels he's going to be a professional, and I think he will be, then you play him, and hopefully he helps us gain automatic promotion. He's a great player, wherever he ends up. And I feel fortunate that I will now be able to see probably the end of his career with Fulham in these upcoming months. And he's been great. And he is a difference maker. That is why I wanted him to stay at Fulham. I didn't actually want this deal to go through. I'm going to be honest with you, because I just wanted him to be a Fulham player in the end. That's where I'm coming from. Nothing against Liverpool. And for anyone that is watching this and is a Liverpool supporter and doesn't think that I have a background or know much about Liverpool, well, first of all, I live in Boston, so I'm very familiar with your ownership. We'll just start there. I've actually done a podcast with a Liverpool supporter before. I know many Liverpool supporters. I know a ton of them. And I do watch a lot of Liverpool. And honestly, because of the Red Sox connection, I want to see them do well. I'm not a Liverpool supporter, but I want to see them do well. So do I watch them? Yes. I have nothing against Liverpool. I'm a Fulham supporter first, and I wanted Fabio to stay with Fulham, period. That's where I was thinking. That's where my thought process was on Twitter. This wasn't me being bitter. This wasn't me being against Liverpool. I have nothing against Liverpool. Like I said, I want to see Liverpool do well, except when they play Fulham. I do, because of the Red Sox connection. Same ownership. Beyond that, I'm a Fulham supporter through and through. That's where my head is at. And we'll see what happens with Fabio. Okay. So now let's talk about a very interesting side part of this is Neco Williams. So Neco Williams comes to Fulham on loan. And any Fulham supporter will tell you we needed a right back. And honestly, I think we needed an upgrade at right back. And I've watched Neco Williams play more than a few times. I think he has tremendous potential. So I love this deal. And with Kenny Tete, again, if they split the time, I'm all for that. And what's interesting about Neco Williams is a friend of mine, Steve Reynolds, brought up to me. He has a history with Harry Wilson, not just at Liverpool, but with Wales. So this is actually, I think, an advantage for Neco, for Harry Wilson, and for Fulham. The fact that they played together. And also, again, you're going to throw Fabio into the mix. So I think all of this actually helps each other out. And I think this is a good deal for Fulham bringing in Neco Williams. I think it's also a good deal for Liverpool because Neco is going to play with a club that plays attacking football, play differently than Liverpool, but it is always going to be on the front foot. And I think that's going to suit Neco. I think all sides are going to benefit from this short-term loan of Neco Williams to Fulham. And one last thing, talking about the right back position, I do have to share this. Best of luck to Dennis Adoy. Now, I think it was actually, honestly, time for Dennis to go, and I wish him all the best at Club Brugge, and I hope it does work out well for him. I have very fond memories of Dennis Adoy, and I cannot say enough good things. A true gentleman, a true Fulham player. Again, just someone that gave everything to the club. But it was time for him, I think, to move on and time for him to go back to a team that he's played for in the past. So I do wish the best for Dennis Adoy, and I only have fond memories of Dennis. I do. In regards to Fulham, I think that they've upgraded by bringing in Neco Williams and Dennis going out. But that doesn't mean that I don't have fond thoughts of Dennis Adoy. Best of luck to Dennis Adoy. Okay. Coming up next to finish up Russ's rant, I'm going to ask you this. And if you're watching live, please feel free to share it. I'll share mine. Now that the window's closed, what is your prediction for the rest of the season for Fulham? Okay. To finish up Russ's rant, what is your prediction for the end of the season for Fulham? I'm still going with not just automatic promotion, but I am going with Fulham still winning the league. And I made this prediction at the beginning of the season, and I'm in good company here because Rob Wilson, Fulham legend, and Gordon Davis, Fulham legend, we all predicted that Fulham were going to win the league. And I don't see any reason why they can't. Now, I've noticed what Bournemouth have done in the transfer window and what other clubs have done in the transfer window. But I still believe Fulham are going to win the league. And I think actually they've upgraded a position of need. And at least in the short term, at right back. Because again, I will take Neco Williams over Dennis Adoy. So I think this is a good thing. And you have Fabio still with Fulham as a Fulham player. I think that's a plus too. Even if he was going to come back on loan, I wasn't crazy about that. But I think as a Fulham player, I think that's a benefit. So when I look at the table and I look at what's in front of Fulham, I truly believe Fulham are going to win the league. In the end, you just want them to get the top two. But that's my prediction. I'm going to share some comments from the Fulham supporters. Please keep them coming. We got a few in here. Eddie Middlebrook says, win the league, clinch division by end of April. Okay. My friend Colm says top two. I can deal with that. Let's see what Kamal says. Record breaking, but we still need a plan for next season. We seem to exercise our muscle in the close season. We should have money to spend in the summer. Am I right? I hope so. And again, FFP is always an issue. So we'll see what happens. But, it's funny because I was a little disappointed that Fulham didn't do more in this transfer window to get ready for the Premier League. But it could have been an FFP issue. Okay. Let's see what Paul has to say. Still no reason we can't end as champions. Good transfer window. Pete, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. One, you kept Fabio. Two, you brought in Neco Williams. And a couple players went out on loan. I think that's all positives. I don't see any negatives in the window. Honestly, I don't see them. I see it as only positives. Maybe, again, you're seeing my glass half full Russ episode, but yes, that's just how I feel. I am a glass half full supporter. That's just how I feel. I agree with that. Okay. Well, listen, like I mentioned, this is going to be just a quick Russ's rant. I see a lot of people watching live. And I just want to just say thank you to everyone. I want to share this comment. This is from Eddie Middlebrook. My father passed away at the age of 49, 11 years ago. My heart goes out to Claire. Thank you, Eddie, for sharing that. Really appreciate that. I'm thinking of Claire right now, and I hope she is okay. That's all I want to say on that, because she's someone that has been just a very close friend, has always been there for me. Let's see what else we got. I'm going to share another comment. Let's see. I worry that if we have many players, this is from tomorrow, who win us the league this year, will not be there for the Premier League, and we can't risk any more relegations due to players not knowing each other. Tomorrow, I totally agree with that, and that's a discussion, honestly, for the summer. The club has made the decision that this is what they're going with the transfer window right now. I think there'll be changes, but I think there's a nucleus of players here that are going to win us the league that can be part of a team in the Premier League. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it's the way it was last season in the Premier League or a few seasons ago where we really needed a complete overhaul. I also think we have an advantage going up this time. We have Marco Silva. Nothing against Scott Parker. I think it's a big advantage this time around that we have Marco Silva. And I was also a huge fan of Savisa, but I think out of the three, we have the best out of the three to keep us in the Premier League. That's my opinion on that. Okay. Well, listen, thank you, everyone, for your predictions. And thank you, everyone, for sharing just a few minutes of your time today. And also, one last time, I just want to mention this episode is dedicated to the memory of Paul Parish. And my thoughts are with you, Claire, your entire family. And just thank you, everyone, one last time for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.